Hello, I'm Canon EOS photographer, Randall and Rueff, and today I want to talk to you about the Speedlite 580EX flash, and more importantly, the flash from Canon in doing multi-burst photography. That's right, multi-burst photography. For example, how many flashes in one picture? It's an interesting concept. Okay, first of all, let me begin with an explanation of how this is used. For example, let's say you've got, a good example would be like a gymnast or a baseball player. Okay, let's say you have, like, just for example, a gymnast, you know, they do that thing on the beam where they jump up, they do a flip, they put their hands down, they stand on it, then they come off. I don't know what that's called. I think it's called a pommel horse. But anyway, I'm not sure. Anyway, what you can do, that's just an example. Or another example is a guy playing baseball, and you do like this, and he swings. And each time the flash goes off, it's kind of like highlighting the image. So whether you're talking about a gymnast or a baseball player, or whatever that's moving, first of all, what you need to do to make the image look good is have the camera on a tripod, so that the person or persons or the activity, the background is going to, unless it's a blank background, you want the background to be stationary, first of all. So you need a tripod or a table, you know, some way to keep the camera stable. Next, you got to figure out approximately how long of a shutter speed do you need. For example, do you need 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or do you just want to do a bulb shot where you can hold the trigger down or the shutter release, and when it's done, it stops. So there's several things to consider. Plus, you got to consider, is this something that you're setting up to do in a studio or in a gymnasium, like, or is this just something you're going to be out in the field doing? So I mean, if you're inside in a studio where you can do it several, you know, practice doing whatever it is you're going to do, that's one thing. But if you're going to go out, set up your camera and hope for the best, that takes a lot more work. Both of which can achieve great results, but either one takes work, especially if you're out in the field. So, with that in mind, there are several things to go over. Besides the length of the frame, whether it be 1 second, 2 seconds, you got to decide what's realistic. And if you're in the studio and you can practice it more than once, or if you have an event outside or inside either one, and you have a general idea of how long it would take 3 seconds, it would take 2 seconds, you can work that out. So the next thing you want to think about is the camera's or the flash's speed. How many bursts do you want in, say, that 5 seconds or 2 seconds? And I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or how clear you'll be able to see it. But you'll see it right there. The zoom is at 50. So it's set for a 50mm shot, which is the standard. Normally it shoots it at 50. But we can adjust that. But normally the standard, in other words, as soon as I go into multi, it automatically goes to 50. Unless it's preset for something else. Okay. So the 1/28 is on this one is the less or least amount of power. Then you have 60, which is how many shots or how many firing of the flash is going to take place. And the 10 is the megahertz, or the level of the flash. Okay? So what you want to do is we got it set for 60 frames, or 60 shots. So it should, if this is working good and the batteries are fully charged, it should do 60 shots without stopping. As long as if I push and hold the trigger, or I push and release the shutter button when it's on the camera, you should get 60 bursts of flash consistently with this current setting. Now, something to take into consideration. If your batteries are low, that may not be the case. A lot of times when you're doing this, a lot of photographers like to do, you know, plug it into on this flash right here, there's a, I can pull it out here, there's a little thing here you can plug it in to like your wall outlet, or have an extension cord, plug it into that. There's a little adapter that goes for that, and That way you'll know you'll have a power source that's going to be able to keep up with whatever you set here. The batteries, if they're fresh and new, for the most part work pretty good, but if they get to be low, it's going to be questionable. So, let's say we've got a 5-second shot, for example. I've got my flash turns off every time I don't let it use it for a while. But anyway, it's set to multi-zoom, 50mm, 1/28. Let's talk about that for a second. 1/28 is the least amount of power, and it goes up from 1/28 to 1:1, which 1:1 is your most powerful flash. Now, something else to keep in consideration, and there's a whole bunch of different settings in between, obviously. But if you're going to do up 1:1 or 1:2 or 1:10 or 1, the closer to 1:1 you go, the more power it requires. So again, that's going to be taxing on your batteries. And after it's done doing that, you're gonna know, because when you do that at 1:1, you can even hear the charge flashing, or the circuit and everything flash recharging. So depending on what you're gonna do, for example, I probably on 1/28 at 60 that's okay, but I would never do 1:1 at 60 because it's too much power going through it too fast. You can try it, but I don't think you're going to get consistent results. So you got to be able to be aware of what the flash can do and what. Now theoretically, if you're plugged into a wall, yeah, go ahead and do it. But with 4 double A's, I wouldn't even think about trying it on the 1:1 for more than a few bursts or a few firings of the flash. But here you go. 1/28, 60, 10 megahertz. Or hertz, I guess I should say hertz. Not megahertz, it's just hertz. Looks like this. That was pretty quick, okay? So it depends on how fast your action is moving and how many hertz is determine how fast it goes too. So, but I don't know if you can hear that, but it's kind of recharging, so you can kind of hear the recharge of the flash. And like I said, the more powerful, this is on the least amount of settings, so the higher the flash power, the louder that recharge sound is going to be. But it's a really neat feature. It's not used a whole lot anymore because most photographers can do the same thing in a computer. If you've got Adobe Photoshop, whether you're using a Mac or a PC, you can probably set up the same shot and do, take 5 or 6 different shots on a tripod and get the same effect, with some editing. I mean, it can be done either way, but nowadays doing it in computer is probably probably a more economical way. I mean, it takes time to do either one, but as far as doing it in a computer, especially a Mac, it's going to be. I use a Mac. I love a Mac. But using Adobe Photoshop or some other software to edit these pictures, if you want that multi-burst effect, is a lot more economical and reduces your time if you're trying to do it on a computer as compared to do it on the side. So, a lot of things to take into consideration. There's a lot of information. You can look up on Google and some other sites about multi-burst. This is just a general overview of some of the information. And I would just say, if you're interested in this kind of photography, look up some examples and go out and try it yourself. So, I mean, that's the only way you're going to learn how to do it is by watching this video, learning the basics. Go out, look for some examples, and then try it yourself. That's how it's done. So, until next time, I'm Canon EOS photographer for Randall and Rueff, saying thanks for watching. Have a good day, and may God bless you.